If you're a marketer, this is for you. Claude just released Opus 5 and its most powerful model, Fable 5, is only available on Max Plan. At the same time, ChatGPT also released Soul 5.6. So the real question is, which model actually helps marketers the most? To find out, I'll put the frontier models Fable 5, ChatGPT Soul 5.6 and Opus 5 through a series of real marketing challenges, from writing an ad copy to tearing apart a complete marketing strategy. By the end of this video, you will know which AI wins at copywriting, strategy, and everything in between. Let's start with level 1, writing an ad copy. So on the left, there is Fable 5. We have got ChatGPT's latest model Soul 5.6 in the middle. Then we have Opus 5 on the right. All three are set to the same difficulty settings. So throughout this entire video, I'll be testing them on one of my own brands. That way, every model gets the same context. I'm going to paste in this prompt and run all three. I'm asking Claude to write 5 ad copies for a brand that serves passport photos online. There are also instructions on how to structure the ad with hooks, benefits, and CTAs in the prompt. Okay, we have got the output from all three. I'm not going to read all 15, I'll show you the best ones. Interestingly, all three models identified one common theme around toddler and baguettes. Fable 5 opens with, getting a toddler to sit still in a photo studio? Good luck. It sounds like a real copywriter. It paints a picture and makes a problem feel real. ChatGPT goes with, take your child's passport photo comfortably at home. As a hook, this just fails. It is not that creative. It tells me there's a problem, but doesn't make me feel it. Then we have Opus 5. Getting a toddler to sit still in a photo studio is its own kind of favorite. It's similar to Fable 5 in the creative angle, but it feels more AI-like. I wouldn't use this as it is. Looking across all 5 ads, not just these examples. On creative writing, I would give Fable and Opus the edge. They explored more interesting ideas and stronger hooks, and Fable wins because it sounded more like a human. ChatGPT fails altogether. On creative writing, Fable takes the lead. Fable scores 4, ChatGPT 2, and Opus 3. On human voice, ChatGPT consistently sounded the most natural. The language flowed well and felt like something a real marketer might write. Though Fable had stronger ideas, it occasionally slipped into AI-style phrasing. Opus struggled the most. Across several ads, I noticed awkward wording and phrases that technically make sense, but don't sound like a real advertising copy. A human voice, ChatGPT takes the lead. Fable scores 3, ChatGPT 4, and Opus 2. Finally, on publishing readiness, I checked if these ads landed in my inbox today. How much work would I need to do before publishing them? Fable ads needed the fewest edits. Most were close to something I would actually use. ChatGPT has the best human voice, but the copy often lacked persuasive writing and the right creative angle. I would end up rewriting most of it. Opus landed somewhere in the middle, but better angle than ChatGPT in places. But the AI style writing still needed a lot of cleaning up. Fable scores 4, ChatGPT 2, and Opus 3. So in the first challenge, Fable wins. I was surprised with ChatGPT Soul 5.6 writing. That was unexpected. It shows it can write in a more natural human voice but fail the round because it still requires significant work on finding the creative angle and editing before launch. Opus showed flashes of creativity, but it also had the most obvious AI fingerprints. That made it harder to use. Now, on to level 2. Consistent brand voice. As a marketer, I produce a lot of marketing materials. In this prompt, I'm asking it to generate 6 different assets: an email, landing page copy, Instagram captions, SMS, and an FAQ, all while keeping the voice of the brand. So, can these models hold one brand voice across 6 different marketing assets without drifting? Let's find out. Let's start with Fable. I kept seeing the same message consistently across all the assets. It kept coming back to $15 value and 5 minutes promise of the brand, and the same friendly tone throughout. It was also the most creative writer of the 3. I liked little observations like, most people spend longer looking for parking at the photo place. But I also noticed some AI vibes. For example, taking a baby's passport photo at a studio is basically a comedy show nobody enjoys. That's where it starts going off, starting to sound like AI. Now, let's look at ChatGPT. The first thing I noticed was how natural it sounded. Let's look at this. Taking a passport photo of a child can be stressful, especially in a studio. It's much simpler. Maybe not as creative as Fable, but it sounds like something I would actually write. Overall, ChatGPT felt tighter, cleaner, and more human. The only downside was it didn't carry the same messaging throughout. I think a little prompt tweaking can fix that. Finally, Opus. It felt more creative than ChatGPT, but also had more AI giveaways of the three. Fable wins on creative writing and voice consistency. ChatGPT wins on human voice and publishing readiness. It's a tie between Fable and ChatGPT on this one. Fable felt more creative, while ChatGPT was more production ready. Let's turn it up a notch. Level 3, Marketing Analyst. As I run multiple brands, I'm constantly looking at campaign reports to figure out what's working and what isn't. In this test, I uploaded 3 months of my GA4 and Google Search Console data and asked each model to analyze it. I gave them this detailed prompts so they wouldn't default to generic insights. So, which model thinks the most like a senior marketing analyst? Let's find out. This was really interesting one. All the models got the obvious insights about impression, clicks, and CTRs, but the real difference came from what they did find. Fable identified a high impact US opportunity around our US SEO rankings, but completely missed a GFO instrumentation issue. ChatGPT did the opposite. It caught the instrumentation and funnel problems, but never highlighted the US opportunity. Opus was the only model that found both. That's why, for business impact, I'm giving the Opus the win, followed by Fable and then ChatGPT. For data analysis, I would actually call this a tie. All three models interpreted the data well, even though they surfaced different insights. And for actionability, I would give it to ChatGPT. I felt its recommendations were the clearest and easiest to execute. So, overall, this round goes to Opus. So far, we have been testing individual marketing skills. Now it's time for the final boss. Level 4, Campaign Strategist. As we have shared GA4 and Google Search Console data in the last round, the models now know the full SEO performance and understand the marketing context of the brand. With that, I asked each model to build a complete 30-day campaign from overall strategy and messaging to the channels, content plan, and success metrics, all with one goal: get more people to create a photo on the brand website. Let's see which model I would actually trust to run my next marketing campaign. Let's look at the results now. I'll admit, this one surprised me. First, ChatGPT produced almost 11 pages. When I first saw that, I thought ChatGPT had gone overboard. Fable and Opus produced just 4-5 pages. Normally, I don't care about longer response. They are often filled with fluff. But this time, the extra pages were useful. ChatGPT had the most comprehensive strategy document. Everything read nicely. It felt more like working with a marketing coach. Instead of simply telling me what to do, which every other model did, ChatGPT also explained how to run the campaign. It contained what to do, when, and what not to do. Start by testing multiple ad angles, double down on the winners, pause the losers, move budget based on performance, watch the funnel, fix the drop off points, and on and on. It was much more than a list of activities to execute. Other models just gave what to do. Write 5 campaigns first week, do this the second week, etc. I liked ChatGPT's strategy, which didn't force a fixed idea. It was dynamic and evolved based on what happened the previous week. One thing I noticed about Fable that others didn't was it suggested an email sequence for people who hadn't converted yet. That one was unique. Funnily enough, Opus went in the different direction. It built a 5 email sequence for people after they had already purchased. I'm not sure what was the objective of that. And finally, the scores for this round are here. For me, this wasn't a close round. ChatGPT wins comfortably, and with that, the overall crown goes to ChatGPT 5.6. ChatGPT Soul 5.6 scores 9.5 out of 10. Claude Opus 5 scores 8.8 out of 10. Claude Fable 5 scores 8.5 out of 10. Here's my takeaway after spending more than 50 hours with these models. If I'm brainstorming campaign ideas or looking for fresh creative angles, I would still reach for Claude Fable 5.0, which we can get through extra credits. It consistently came up with ideas I hadn't thought of, but when it's time to turn those ideas into something I would actually publish, whether that's writing a copy, or analyzing marketing data, or planning a real marketing campaign, I would pick ChatGPT Soul 5.6. It helps me think through the problem. It asks the right questions. It explains how to execute, not just what to do. And it behaves more like an experienced marketer. If you would like to see every prompt, every response, and the full scoring for each round, you will find everything linked in the description below. Next, we are putting Claude Design 2.0 to the test to see whether it can replace today's marketing design workflow and how it stacks up against the tool marketers use every day. Subscribe to be the first one to know when that gets released. Bye for now.